Basic was always hard, but the first day was cruel. When our instructor finally decided he was done for the day, he allowed us to drop formation and collapse into some form of rest. Some of the men shuffled their way to one of the inner walls of the keep and simply curled where the masonry met the dirt. I remember falling to my knees and then to my back and just staring at the stars. The man next to me did the same. We laid there in silence for a long while until the other man got antsy. "Do you think a bird has ever tried to swallow a star?" The man's blue eyes were directed at me now. "What?" "I mean, think about it. Birds can fly as high as they want, so there has to be at least one of them that thought, hey, I bet I could do that, right?" His lean frame was sitting up at this point. "I know if I were a bird, I'd try to eat the moons." "Well, my mother always told me that birds like to stay close enough to the ground to see the prey. She used to work in the fields until I was able to take her place when I was a teenager. She liked the idea of being connected to nature through hard work. Her casket was adorned with flowers from her garden. I think she would have liked that." I'd almost forgotten the man was there, but by this point, he had already laid back down. He pointed to the smaller of the two moons and said, "Sure, but the real prey is up in the sky." When I looked over at him, he was staring at the stars again, starlight catching in the corner of his eyes. Fuck. This is the first time I spoke to Edgar. We spent the next 2 years dancing around the fact that from the moment I saw the cosmos reflected in his eyes, I was smitten. He became my only reason to continue through basic. The group of 50 recruits turned into 40, turned into 20, and the whole time I kept my eyes on him. While many struggled to translate a farmer's strength into the grace needed to swing a sword, Edgar excelled at it. He became the shining star of our newly formed platoon. Edgar's father was one of the many noble lords that saw over the districts of Central. So while I and many of the others had been cultivating our strength and knowledge of the field, Edgar had been taught languages and city planning and swordsmanship. All this to say, Edgar came from money, but from the way he spoke, you couldn't tell. He told me on one of our late-night adventures that he hated Central. Half drunk on some shitty mead, he said, "It's nothing more than the world's biggest cage." He waved his hands at the portion of the wall we had been stationed at for the last 8 months. "Then why are we even here?" God, I was drunker than he was. "You keep saying that you're going to change things, but it just sounds like all you want to do is leave." "You know I can't do that." Edgar leaned back in his chair and stared at the stars. God damn it. I looked away. "It would be nice, though. Do you ever think about it? Leaving?" I washed down the thought of leaving the stone cage together and buying a house and coming home to his smile and... "Doesn't everybody?" I shoved my face into my pint. "I don't think they do." His face was red now. I assumed it was because of the mead, but... "Okay, then what are we even doing? Why continue to patrol around the same streets every day? Why attend to the same meetings every week? Why continue to care? Fuck. I was drunker than I thought. I struggled to look anywhere other than his moonlit visage. "Because you're here." He was covering his eyes with his hands now. "I used to think that I was built wrong, that all the pieces of manhood that comprise the masculine, I was just missing some. I saw how the other guardsmen would spend their free time at the pleasure halls, and the thought of going myself just felt gross. It felt like the gods had simply forgotten to grant me a piece of who I was meant to be. It had never occurred to me that someone else could feel the same. That was the night I finally mustered up the courage to kiss him.